slam dunk, grand slam, victory lap. Get ready for the inside scoop in the real estate investing industry. You're tuned in to The Power Play with me, Abhi Golhar, and my buddy, Greg Rand. Think Realty Nation, it's Abhi and Greg, and it's The Power Play. It's a segment where we're going to dive into Tampa, a awesome city, and Greg's going to offer his analysis and findings of whether or not Tampa is a winner. Greg, right. What do you think?
Yeah, Tampa's a winner, and first I'll just say that we get hired by the biggest real estate investors in world history. Not me bragging, but that's our business. It's been our business for a number of years now. Large Wall Street firms that have billions of dollars with which to acquire rental property around America have come to us because we have a mastery of the data and a way of visualizing using that data that now we give away to everybody. And so I'm going to share with you the analysis that we do, which is a three-part analysis, starting with what is the raw data on how Tampa has performed over the last 20 years. Okay, and the performance metric that we focus on is how have the houses appreciated, right? Because at the end of the day, if the market has gone through the last 20 years, it went through Democrats and Republicans, it went through high rates and low rates, it went through wartime and peacetime, it went through economic booms and recessions, it went through all of that. So, like if you have a weak heart, they put you on a treadmill to see how you handle a stress test. Think of that as the stress test for the housing market. And we look at, and if, by the way, you can go to ownamerica.com, you can look at what we call a fantasy portfolio, which is a smattering of properties. You can see it right from the homepage on the map. And you can see all the analysis I'm talking about by just clicking on the pin on Tampa and scrolling around and taking a look at these numbers and these charts. And what's cool about Tampa is that first, I'll give you the conclusion. You see, if you can, I know it's hard to visualize charts, but let me just see if I can tell the story here verbally. What you're looking at when you're looking at a 20-year chart of the home prices in Tampa, you see a nice, steady, gradual up incline that all of a sudden goes wild, okay? Like the beginning of a roller coaster. It shoots way up. It takes off. Then it crests just like a roller coaster. And I know you can hear the screams, right? So the screams are when it crests over the top and it begins to fly down. That's what happened in Tampa. One of the most volatile responses to the housing boom and bust over the last 20 years was down in many markets in Florida, Tampa definitely being one of them. But here's what happened next is the market came down, it went below where it used to be before the boom, and then it fought its way back. And if you take all of this in context, what you see is a 6 or 7 year recovery from the bottom that is as steady as you can imagine. Okay, there's no more volatility down there on this chart. And what it shows is it caught up to where it looks like it was originally going to be in the first place. Like if there was no roller coaster and the starting point and the ending point were just 2 points on the chart and the big high boom and the big ugly crash weren't even there and it just went straight across, that's where the market is right now. And here's where it lands. In this country, the average price in America has appreciated 3.44% per year on average for the last 20 years. Okay, that's what's called a price appreciation index that is for the common person, right? Common sense. We're not adjusting that for inflation. We're not adjusting that for seasonality. We're not adjusting it at all. It is a raw number, 3.44%. The state of Florida has appreciated, even given all the volatility and madness over the last 10 years, the state of Florida has appreciated 5.6% over 3.4. And the county of Hillsborough, which is where Tampa is at 6.3. So Tampa, given all that volatility aside, back 10 years ago, there were people who were fleeing that market because they were terrified, and there were investors who understood the fundamentals of the market, understood that the short-term pain that was going on in Tampa was explainable, it was temporary, and it was over. And so they believed, investors did, a lot of home buyers didn't, right? 2011 is where the market came back and began to rise again. Investors were the class of buyer of homes in Tampa that gave it the floor, that gave it the recovery, and now the home buying market is alive and well and back in a very big way. So that's the raw data, okay? At the end of the day, it has performed at almost twice the national average over the last 20 years, okay? So the question now becomes, well, why? Right? Why is the market performing better than most of the rest of the country, almost double the national average? What's happening there? And the answer always lies in population growth. All right? It's real simple, right? Again, I wish I could make this more complicated than it is. It's really simple. People like to live indoors, okay? They also like to have kids and dogs, and so they tend to like houses. And so if you own houses in a market where people are going, you're going to win long term. And so the question becomes, why are they going there? Are they going to continue to go there for those reasons? And are there even other reasons that might be even more exciting about what's going to happen in the next 10 and 20 years that, the market recovery in Tampa already happened. So is that like buying Facebook stock at $200 like you already missed it? Or is it like buying Apple stock or Google stock at $200 where you didn't miss it at all? It went all the way to 1,000, right? So what's happening there with respect to population growth? Look to jobs, okay? When you get an understanding of what could be an elevation of the job growth in a market. Now, a place like Tampa has got everything under the sun, right? There's every job you can think of is there. It's a major southern metro. It's got all types of things. It's not dependent on any one economic driver. However, what does the Panama Canal have to do with picking Tampa as a winner? All right, the Panama Canal was built over 100 years ago. And over all those years, it became a major shipping lane, obviously, from China and places in the Far East to the United States. But the ships that could get through the Panama Canal were the smaller ones. All right, shipping technology, the size of these ships has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And so most of the biggest ships coming from China carrying the most stuff were landing in California and then being put on trains and trucks and being brought to the population centers on the East Coast. In 2015-16, they expanded the Panama Canal to allow what they call post-Panamax ships, which are 5 times bigger than the ones that were able to get through. Bad news for Long Beach, California, because their port is losing business because it is a lot cheaper for that ship to come through the Panama Canal and land in, say, Tampa. And if you want to get things to New York, you want to get things to Atlanta, you want to get things to Florida, it's a lot cheaper for that ship to come through the new canal, land in Tampa or some other Gulf Coast or East Coast port, and not load everything onto trucks and trains. That's happening. So there's a dozen ports in and around the Gulf and the Southeast that are making their moves to try to get the political will to spend the money, raise the money, and do an expansion, dig their port deeper, because a lot of those ports weren't big enough to handle the big post-Panamax ships either. All right, so you're following this? What you've got is a mega trend in logistics going on worldwide that has an unfair benefit to any city around the Gulf Coast or Southeast U.S. that gets their act together and digs their port and expands. Tampa has approved $1.4 billion with a B in port expansion to make that whole thing rock out. All right, so what you're going to see is massive job growth coming into Tampa as a result of the port, on top of everything else it has going on. All right, and what it also has going on, of course, is tons of miles of coastline. It has Tampa Bay. It has the whole Florida thing going on, which is no state income tax. The population coming down from New York and from Boston and D.C. and from Chicago and the upper Midwest, making its way down to the Sun Belt, landing in Tampa because of the lifestyle. And so the reason why Tampa is strong is that it did great through the stress test. It's got a big lifter in the Panama Canal expansion, and it has lifestyle. All right, so for that reason, we look at Tampa as a place where even though you're not going to get a steal unless you really turn a lot of rocks over, you can accumulate a portfolio in Tampa in a gradual and responsible way and let all of those macro trends, all of those population trends, all the migration down. Just a couple of years ago, they announced that Florida had more electoral votes than does New York now. That's all population migration coming down. So Tampa is a big winner.
So Tampa's a winner, and I'm almost all in on Tampa after all of that. I love this data. I'm still I'm still a Detroit guy. Like, I love Detroit. I love Grand Rapids. But you know what? My big takeaway from all this is data-driven information, right? Data-driven investment theory, investment strategies will always win every single time. And it doesn't matter where in the country you invest as long as you have exactly that, right?
No, it's true. We think the starting point is data, visualizing data, and then figuring out the people questions. And if you can understand the people, then you know where they're going, and you can basically own housing for them when they get there.
I think Florida, for me, would be just too sunny, though. I think that's really my biggest reservation about Florida. All right, Think Realty Nation, that's the Power Play with Greg Rand. And strategy and data, which is exactly what you need to dominate your game of real estate investing. Remember to check out thinkrealtyradio.com, thinkrealty.com for everything else that you need when it comes to information so you can invest in real estate, take that first step, and win. Until next time, happy investing.
The show is over, but Abhi's expertise is available for you 24/7 at thinkrealtyradio.com. Videos, articles, podcasts, insights, everything you need to create more for your future right at your fingertips. Think Realty Radio, a real estate of mind. Online at thinkrealtyradio.com.